Simon, welcome to the boardroom.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. And known each other a fair few years now, haven't we?
Must be 6 or 7. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, just to explain briefly, because we're going to come on to it later, but your role. So, you're sort of the main sales manager at Mayo Wynne Baxter. So, give me a brief description of your role currently, and then we'll throw it back and see how you got there.
Okay. So I work mainly for residential property. I guess my remit is to get referrals for the property team from estate agents and mortgage brokers mainly. There is some other spin-off stuff like commercial work that comes from it. But yeah, generally it's to sort of get those referrals in, look after the referrers, and sort of make sure the clients are quoted, followed up, and onboarded efficiently, really.
I think that's the key word, isn't it? So you're kind of the glue that sticks the two sides of the coin together, is that right? And facilitates everyone?
I sit firmly between, the referrers and our team of lawyers, basically. We've got to make sure that the lawyers are happy and the agents are happy as well.
Tough gig. Tough gig. Well, look, I really want to talk about that a lot more later on, but let's kind of throw it back because you've had a few sort of different careers, haven't you? So should we go right back? How were you at school?
I was a could try harder.
Sound like
student.
Me. Sound like me. Yeah.
I didn't come out with bad grades. When it came to it, I sort of got my head down and came out with some reasonable GCSEs. Went to college, did A levels.
Yeah. Whereabouts was that locally, or?
Durrington, first school, high school, middle school, Worthing sixth form, college, and then I started work really while I was at school. About 15 years old.
Young starter.
Yeah.
What did you start doing then?
So I used to work 6 p.m. till 9 p.m. Selling double glazing leads to people, getting salesmen in.
Making a estate agent out of you, yeah. No, fine. Oh, interesting. So how did that come about at 15 years old?
I can't really remember. I think it was the only job where you could get away with working without a national insurance number.
Yeah.
We just kept saying it's in the post.
Yeah. How things have changed, right? I was the same. I was like 12 years old. Like, I'm just going to crack on with something.
But it was great money. 3 hours a day, and I did that probably till I was 18, so all the way through my college years. I went travelling after college, just for 3 or 4 months. And I came back and worked at a newspaper selling advertising.
Oh, okay.
Did that for a couple of years.
It's been sales from a really young age.
Yeah, really. All my jobs have been sales jobs.
Yeah.
So the newspaper was fun. That job doesn't really exist anymore.
Times have moved on now with social media and all that, which again we'll come on to later. But at the time, I assume it was pretty big business, right?
Yeah, it was a field-based job. I took an area. I think my area was the Shoreham sort of Herald, Standing Herald, selling adverts to businesses in the paper. It was a good job. It was good fun. I did that for about 2 years and then went travelling again.
Whereabouts did you go? You mentioned travelling a couple of times, so obviously you like to see the world. So
yeah.
How old were you when you went travelling, and where did you go, etc.?
So I was 21 when I went to Australia for a year.
Oh wow, what an experience that must have been.
Amazing. Unforgettable.
Yeah.
It still seems like yesterday, funnily enough.
Yeah. Well, these memories, they stick, don't they?
Yeah.
Did you work out there, or?
Yeah, I had a job selling second-hand cars to backpackers.
Small sales,
right old bangers.
In the blood. It's in the blood. Yeah.
I had another job where I didn't even stack the shelves, actually. I just turned all the cans and stuff to face the right way in Woolworths overnight.
Really?
I start work at 2 a.m, finish at 6.
Wow.
It wasn't really for me, as you can imagine.
No, I can imagine it. Yeah, 2 a.m. till 6. I'm not sure that's for anyone, frankly. But so you got back from Australia, went straight into the newspaper advertisement world, or?
No, went from newspaper to Australia for the big tour.
Oh wow!
My 4-month tour was Australia, and that was before.
For a newspaper. You loved it so much, you decided to go back.
Yeah, I didn't see enough first time.
Fantastic.
Second time did the whole country pretty much.
Yeah.
And then came back to a job as an estate agent.
There you go, great industry to be in.
Yeah.
So you came back from Australia, and this is what, you were 20?
Yeah, so it was year 2000, 22.
22. So 22, came back, and I assume after having such what sounds like an amazing time, What what was it that brought you into the estate agency world? Was it kind of just, oh, I'm back and I've spent all my money in Australia, or was it something that was always on the cards? Because it's quite an easy path from double glazing into newspapers and into housing. It's probably quite a smooth transition, right?
No, nothing quite as planned as that. To be
Oh,
honest.
really?
There was no real. I don't know. I don't remember there really being the internet to use. I was in Australia, so I rang my mum and said, "Can you put me a CV together and just mail it out to the job pages?"
Oh, my word. Forward thinking.
In the back of the Herald, and I came back to, I don't know, a handful of interviews. Some in London. I got accused in London of still having Australianitis or something. Too laid back for London.
Too relaxed for London, and I get back down south.
So yeah, I started with King and Chasemore Countrywide.
Yeah, nice. They're a big corporate.
Yeah.
And how was that at that kind of time? So this is early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Pretty full on, I can imagine.
Yeah. So as a trainee, I mean, you learn quick. It was individual commission, not office commission. And the girl I worked with was quite readily stab you in the back. So you register your buyers and then find that you go in the office in the morning and there's no record of it, but she's got the record of the same buyer.
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, that was the kind of I wouldn't call it the golden age, but it was the golden age of very hardcore estate agency, wasn't it? I'd like to think it's changed quite a bit since then. But so you were at King & Chasemore for how long?
4 years all in all. I took my first branch in 2002, so branch manager of Littlehampton office for 2 years.
It's quite quick. So you went from negotiator,
trainee to manager in 2 years.
Really fast. Was he did something right then?
Yeah, I think there must have been an exodus of staff or something.
No, I'm sure it was that you just learned very quickly. I'm sure.
Yeah,
but
great fun.
So, yeah, I bet. So you took that office on, and then you were there for, did you say 2 years as a manager? Or?
Yeah, 2 years as a manager, and then I received a phone call from a guy who was running an Arran Estates section, White and Son it was called at the time. I'm sure many people know the guy's name.
No doubt.
But so there was 10 offices. I wasn't the only one to get a phone call. All my mates who were running King and Chasemore branches got a phone call, and quite a few of us.
A mass poaching.
Yeah, we defected and ended up running White and Son offices. So I ended up in Southwick Square, which was interesting. Did that for 2 years.
And how was that? Because obviously you've gone from selling double glazing to travelling to newspapers to travelling to being a junior estate agent to in the space of 4 or 5 years running multiple branches in many respects. Was that quite a difficult transition at the time? Was it kind of just try your best, or was there training? What was it? How did that transition happen? That's quite a big step.
To be honest, I didn't really enjoy it.
No, a lot of people say that.
My ex-wife had a baby at the time. My baby.
It's good to hear. So that throws another curveball in, of course. Yeah.
So I stuck it for 2 years till 2006.
Yeah.
And then went and worked at an independent for the rest of my career, same independent.
Yeah.
Jacob Still over in Worthing.
Yeah. At management level, or?
Yeah, branch manager.
You were still branch manager.
Worked with Ashley Jacobs in the office. Really nice guy. Learned a lot from him still.
I'm sure. Yeah. Well, you do. I don't think you never stop learning in any business.
No.
So then you made the move to Jacob Still, and you were there for how long roughly?
7 years roughly.
7 years, a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
And then where was the switch? You've been an agent now for what, 12, 13 years? It's a strong, solid career, similar time frame as I've been in it so far.
Yeah.
Where did you go from there?
Well, what happened? I mean, you're probably too young to remember 2007-8.
Do you remember it? But I wasn't working in it. Thank God.
That was a fairly crazy time. 2007 was a boom market, and then 2008, was dire.
Yeah, it just fell off a cliff, didn't it?
You're in an office 60 hours a week, and you're not getting much return for it. So actually, I went travelling again. I did 8-9 months around Europe in a camper van with my daughter, who was 3.
Oh, fantastic!
And I was lucky enough to ring Ashley and say, "Any chance on the job back?" which I got my job back when I'd run out of money travelling.
Yeah.
I did about another year, but I sort of found that I'd lost my love for the job. And it's not, as you will know, it's not a job you can do unless you're passionate about it.
No, you can't do the hours.
And you can't go and value someone's house and convince them that you're the right agent.
If your heart's not, totally agree.
So I thought at that time it's probably time to move on, but to be honest, I didn't have a clue what to do.
No, well, it's a fairly long, 13 years, a long career in, and like you say, agency it's very full on, it's very involved.
Yeah.
I know I'd be lost without it. So you came out of it and we were a little bit sort of like, what next? So what did come next? How did the role? Because your role, this is what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to introduce it briefly earlier, but isn't really a role that's well known, is it? It wasn't there before you, so to speak. So what happened with the Mayo side of things?
So what actually happened between leaving there and starting here is I went to university and did a full-time degree.
Oh, fantastic.
I did a psychology and cognitive science degree at Sussex, and I worked. In fact, I worked for Manson McTaggart.
Good. What I like to hear.
I worked at Hayward Heath, Sussex, Billingshurst, Linfield, so quite a few of the offices. Just covering one of your offices before you owned it.
Yeah.
A bit in Brighton. And then, literally, I handed in my dissertation and thought I'd better apply for a job.
What was it that made you want to do that out of interest? I mean, it's a fantastic thing to do, but obviously to kind of go back into essentially the education system, was there a driving factor, or was it just something you were genuinely interested in?
It was a genuine interest, but it was also the fact that I had no idea what I wanted to do work-wise, late 30s. My girlfriend's in a good job. She fully supported me to do it, which is, amazing.
Yeah, huge.
So it was good. It was fun. It was good to learn. And then just came out with a fresh sort of set of eyes on life, I suppose. Saw the job in something like Indeed or whatever, and thought, I could do that. I could do it well. So.
Well, I suppose that was all leading up to that point, was it? I mean, in terms of not that I'm a big believer in CVs, but based on what we've just discussed of all your different roles, the next best thing. I mean, you couldn't have, it almost like luck of the gods, right? I mean, you've got loads of agency experience, you've got loads of conveyancing experience based on the fact that you've been an agent. You don't have to be a qualified solicitor to do it, so you've got perfect, right? Explain to me, so how that obviously came about. So you went and applied. I assume they went one look and went, yeah, that will work. Is that right?
There was there was a series of interviews and a number of people that obviously went for the job. It was a newly created job by Mayo Wynne Baxter's previous marketing director. So he kind of made the job up, matched it up with me, and just basically gave me free rein to go and make it what you can, sort of
get the business, so to speak.
So it started with a lot of door knocking.
As all good businesses do. I know all about that. So door knocking, but business to business instead of business to consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. Just asking agents, send us your clients. We'll do a good job. We might pay a little fee. The fee's never big enough to stay with us if we're rubbish.
Totally. Yeah. But that's, I suppose, not the reason that they do. I've always said it's imperative that the service is good. I mean, we discussed earlier, didn't we, about how all solicitors are the same, obviously, in tongue in cheek, and why don't we just go with the cheapest? But just, you said some interesting numbers. Just go through the difference between sort of a factory firm, so to speak, and what a factory firm is essentially a vast business of lots of different people in it, or a sort of more local, more sort of independent, in inverted commas. It makes a huge difference to the time frame, doesn't it? Huge difference.
It does, because with the more factory firms, you're generally, your case is kind of taken forward by unqualified people to what they believe is the end stage, is then presented to a qualified solicitor to sign it off. At that point, often there is a case of the solicitor saying to the staff there, you need to raise inquiry XYZ, have you done this, have you done that, that's not quite right. So essentially you can almost start again. just at the point where everyone thinks they're ready to
Which is
exchange.
just crazy. It's like someone handing in their homework almost, isn't
Yeah,
it?
pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Which with a potentially multi-million-pound transaction is
Yeah.
a little bit scary, actually, isn't it? Really, when you think about it, these are huge. It's like both our jobs are very important for milestones in people's lives, and they have to be dealt with in the right manner, right?
Yeah.
And I guess that's where you come in and you facilitate that smoothness, because when you're looking to employ an estate agent, obviously you need to have the best people behind you selling it and then helping it progress. But obviously, once that sale agreed is done, we have some influence, but we don't actually have a lot of power. So the solicitor is crucial, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think your jobs as agents is essential in the fact that you can contact other parts of the chain, which
Correct.
the lawyers won't necessarily be able to do. We can be proactive to a degree, but it depends on the length of the chain. So yeah, we can. I guess the best we can do is keep everyone informed, because when people don't have information, that's when they get stressed.
Yeah, they really do, and I think having someone on board like yourself, although you say you're not, acting for the client. I mean, we've had a number of transactions. Obviously, we use you guys quite a lot, and where there's something and we're going up and down the chain. And what's really nice is having that person in the middle. I think as that kind of point of contact that. Simon, I'm not sure about this one. Can you check there? And it just smooths it along, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So I assume it went very, very well. So you went outdoor knocking, you were speaking to lots of different agents, etc., going to sort of networking events and all this jazz. And how long did it kind of take you to, I suppose, make the role work, if you know what I mean? Because you must have been one of the first people to be that middleman, essentially.
Yeah, I think so. And it's gone, it's still going better than I ever imagined. I kind of set myself a goal of, a pipeline of fees of 50,000. And that's now 600,000 regularly. Wow. So, and that's just because of the number of referrals we get in, the number of clients we place with them. But we're also quite mindful that, the team has a limited capacity. Everyone's got a limited capacity.
Balance.
And if the lawyers are saying to me, no more this week or no more this month, we have to respect it.
100%.
Because, you overwork in that respect, the service levels go down, the referrers are then upset, the clients are upset, and it all becomes counterproductive.
100%. That quality, the dream is quality and quantity, of course, but realistically, it's so important, like you said, to manage the expectation of agents, of clients, etc. And what's nice with you is, I suppose, and I've had this myself, I go, can I use X, Y, or Z? And you can, well, actually, Tom, their caseload's kind of up where we don't want it to go anymore because the service will drop. However, we've got over here where it's half. And I think, again, just that very small nugget of information is so important compared to people that just say, we'll take it all, which I've dealt with before. I've had it before. And then you actually find out that they've got a caseload of 500, and your anticipated completion is January of 2029. And it's a bit of a minefield for people that don't understand it. So, talking of understanding, when it comes to kind of getting ready for selling and moving forward, I think it's quite a common misconception, both in my industry but also in the general public, that you go to market, you then hopefully sell the property, and then you look around for solicitors and you get a few quotes and you instruct them, and 3-4 weeks later you might get a sales memo and then all get moving along. So is that the case, or is there actually a better way of doing it for speed?
There is a better way. I mean, we encourage agents to let us quote when you go and value a property, offer it as part of your service, as a wider value offering, to say we'll get you a legal fee estimate. If you're instructed, I would say get us instructed, or just let us know. We'll contact the client, take their instructions, so that we can get out to them certain forms to complete before you get a buyer. Because these are forms that stress people. They're chunky, they're quite technical, there's things you've got to find.
They take time.
They do take time, and most people open the envelope and stick it straight back in again.
Yeah.
I think I'll look at that.
Yeah.
So you can get
At least if they have them before the sale, I mean, that's got to be quick.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
You can send that. When you send out a memo, we're then ready. We've ID'd the clients. They've got these forms. Sent them back to us. Hopefully, we are a good couple of weeks ahead.
Yeah.
In certain cases, we can also as well. If you've got a property that needs to be sold quick, we can order a search pack on it.
Yeah.
And we can send that straight to the buyers.
I suppose it all depends on the circumstances, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Which is again why communication between people that know what they're doing is so important.
Yeah. Every case is slightly different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I suppose perhaps the biggest pushback on that, and something that I would probably find a lot, which would be interesting to hear your thoughts on this, is, well, yes, but I don't want to spend too much money before I'm sold. So, is that you charge thousands up front, or actually realistically is it quite minimal and it gets them so much further ahead it might just complete that sale sooner?
Yeah, I mean, currently, we'll run the clients through the ID process.
It has to be done anyway.
Yeah, take their instructions and send out these forms at no cost.
Wow.
I mean, if we're talking about providing searches,
of course,
then that's only the cost for that. There's no profit to be made by us. It's just
getting it sorted.
Yeah.
So realistically, agents and their clients can be kind of what we call sale ready, I suppose, at the point of a sale being agreed.
Indeed.
At very, very minimal cost to nothing potentially. Yeah. So it's a massive sort of plus point, isn't it, compared to 3-4 weeks down the line just getting memos out, and then it's taking 6 weeks to sometimes even get your searches back off the back of that, and then that's why everyone complains about the time frames, just why you guys are so much quicker. So really, really interesting role. Now, one thing that I've sort of noticed throughout a conversation, which I think is really interesting, and I just wanted to ask you about this, is as you've gone through your different phases of different careers, and obviously a long time in agency, you've mentioned family and you've mentioned traveling. Mm-hmm. So is that kind of what keeps you grounded in what is a fairly high pressure job? Obviously it's important to you and you like traveling. Is that something that you've used as sort of a not coping mechanism, but sort of a braking mechanism? You sort of, every time you've got away, you've kind of rejigged your life quite a bit, which is a lovely thing to be able to do.
And it's been a while since it's happened. I've been with my girlfriend now for nearly 14 years, and we've not done it together. We've been on lots of holidays, but I guess the next goal is some travelling together. My daughter's 20 now. I'm hoping she'll do some travelling of her own.
Fantastic.
It's such a valuable thing to do. Something you'll never forget, and you'll learn so much from it.
Well, life is finite, isn't it? And when you look at everything we do and working life, etc., obviously we're both very passionate about what industries we're in, but what's it all for if you don't enjoy it? And I think that's quite a profound thing that you've clearly kind of harnessed, that actually you're wise enough, so to speak, to be able to go, well, I do need to take that time, etc., instead of just bullying a china shop at all times. And before you know it, it's all over, isn't it? So
well, I always say to anyone that wants to listen that wealth to me is measured in time and not money, really. It helps to have a bit of money behind you, but really it's the time you get to spend with your friends, your family, seeing the world. That's what makes you wealthy.
That's what it's all about, for sure. And you've obviously found that balance through the different careers that you've done. And when you've not liked something, like you mentioned about the stacking your shelves, you know where to go. Actually, I'm not afraid to start again. And I'm not. I'm happy with that. And I think that's a really quite rare, almost characteristic and skill. A lot of people sit in their jobs for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. But they're not happy. Whereas with yourself, from what I've seen, it's like you said with agency. If it's not working, well, I've lost that little spark to be able to go. Actually, I'm going to go to university. What do you think that is? Is that from your upbringing, from your surroundings? Because it's quite rare for people to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the people that, if there's any particular type of person that winds me up in life, it's people that complain and don't do anything about it. They're complaining about the same thing next month and the month after. Everyone's got some kind of power to make a change. You've just got to have the conviction to do it, I guess. So where that came from, I don't really know. My parents were in fairly stable jobs, but they became self-employed later in their lives, well, I suppose 40s. They became tax consultants. They then decided to sell that business and become yoga teachers. So
wow, what a different, yeah. Just goes to show everyone's path and journey is different. I mean, that is like polar opposites, but probably the best thing they ever did.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're in the 70s now and still
loving it.
On his head every day.
Still loving it. Have you been doing any of that recently? No, thank you. So what's just to finish up with, what's next for yourself and with Mayo Wynne Baxter? Is there any expansion plans? Are you still rolling out obviously this new thing with being sort of sale ready? What's on the horizon for yourself and Mayo?
Well, I think as a firm we're sort of fairly forward thinking in mergers and acquisitions. We've got a Chichester office now, which just sort of starting to work on getting business into. I've got a girl that works with me, Chloe, now. Hopefully we'll become a bigger team as we go.
Yeah.
When we're actually part of a bigger law firm, Shakespeare Martineau. So
it was a couple of years ago, was it?
The merger actually happened last November.
Oh, really recent? Oh, fine. Yeah.
But they've got offices in the Midlands, London. Whether we might be able to service those offices, I don't know, but certainly the MWB brand will continue to grow by acquisition, big or small. And that always gives us more lawyers to feed.
Absolutely. And you're branching into lots of different areas as well, aren't you? It's obviously conveyancing is very apt to me and what we do, but as a whole, the firm, what's quite nice is they've got sort of a hand in most things, which I assume is great when you're talking to clients. You say, well, I've got someone for that. I've got someone for that.
Yeah. We can service most legal needs, I guess. We don't do criminal law, but most other stuff.
Don't blame you. It doesn't sound like that much fun, but
I think probably our most recent new thing is wine and vineyards and wine businesses, that sort of thing.
Wow, that's completely different to your standard stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a couple of specialists that work in that sort of area.
But where there's an angle and there's someone that's needed, then it makes sense to do it, doesn't it? So, well, Simon, thank you so much for coming to the boardroom.
Thanks for having me.
And I look forward to doing plenty of business in years to come.
Yeah.
Good man. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
See you soon. Tom here, and thank you so much for tuning in to the latest episode of The Boardroom. If you like what you heard, do like and subscribe to be kept up to date with the latest podcast that we'll be releasing. And if you'd like to join me in The Boardroom, I'd absolutely love to hear from you, and maybe I'll see you on the next one.